Hello, hello, my creative cuties. Welcome back to my channel. Listen, in this video, we're going to focus on shading. Now, shading really adds a lot to a drawing. It gives it a feeling of realism. It also pulls it up off the paper. So if you have trouble with shading, then stick around. I'll show you some tricks and some tips on how you can make your drawings pop. On your way in, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. It's free to subscribe. I'm not looking to make any money off these videos. I'm just looking to give back what was freely given to me when a year ago I re-entered this whole creative phase that I'm in right now, improving my drawing. And free YouTube tutorials really helped me with that. So hopefully mine will help you. Enjoy the intro. In this video, we're going to draw and shade this apple. First, I'm going to take the color out. Then I'm going to apply a grid. And I've included a downloadable PDF of this reference photo with the grid applied. And if you'd like to go print that off first and then come back and follow along so that we can draw it from start to finish, feel free. I hope you will. Let's get started. When you're gridding out something, you want to make sure that the grid that you applied to your reference photo is the same in dimension, or at least comparable in ratio to what you have on your paper. For example, if I'm using a reference photo and it's say 3 inches by 4 inches and I'm wanting to enlarge it, however I divide that reference photo up in measured blocks, I'm just going to multiply it by whatever degree I want to enlarge my particular drawing, and then just kind of map out those squares so that it matches. I hope that makes sense. I'm not an art teacher. I'm not an instructor. I just love to draw. And if you're not sure about what I'm talking about, there are tons of video tutorials on YouTube about gridding. I encourage you to go look at those if this isn't helpful. But in the meantime, we're just going to go ahead and start mapping out what I see in the reference photo. Now and then I'm going to pop that image in so that you can see what I'm doing in comparison. Hopefully it won't get in the way, and hopefully it'll be helpful. If you notice, I am doing the detail that's found in each square. It kind of breaks the drawing down to or into small bite sizes so that you can just focus on just small parts of it at a time. It's really helpful. Sometimes drawing can be overwhelming, even something as simple as this very simple apple. Notice that I'm taking my time. There's no rush. I take time to study the reference photo and what's in each particular square. And then I just transfer that onto my drawing paper. At this point, I'm going to start adding little details that will start giving the apple a little more shape. Right now, it's very flat. These are only contour lines or the outline. So now I'm going to go in and add some things that are going to define different areas and make it pop. What I'm seeing right here is an area of light, and you may think it should just be a splash of white or a circular white unfilled in area, but light actually has shape. So I'm trying to copy the shape that I see. Now, I know you haven't heard my voice in a while. I don't have the most fun voice or whatever. I am no speaker. But again, here we are copying the shape of light on this side of the apple. And when I say shape, it kind of sounds like I'm saying shade, but I'm saying shape. The shape of the light. You may also notice that at some points in this video where you hear me doing the voiceover, sometimes it might be louder than other times, and I'm working with this new microphone I have that I have to plug into my phone, and then I have to unplug it so that I can hear the results of my recording. And then sometimes I forget to plug it back in, so you might hear me somewhat loud at times, and then you might hear me sound somewhat distant. I'm not sure. I think that's what's happening. So I've got technical difficulties. I got all kind of problems here. But we're going to get this done. We're going to get it done. Now we're done with the contour. We're done with the form. At this point, we're going to go in and just tweak this thing until it's just coming up off the paper. So now that we have the outline in place, we're going to spend some time on the top portion of the apple, which to me is the busiest part of the image. I'm going to do this in real time to demonstrate how I start adding those details that give the apple a more realistic feel. Now, this is a fairly long video. I usually do my videos no longer than about 25 minutes or so, because if you're like me, your attention span is kind of like, but I really wanted to do this in real time because some of the free tutorials that I've watched on YouTube that have been real helpful were done in real time. There's this one guy, he's called RobtomiArt on YouTube, and he does paintings, pastels, and he may be working on it for like 2-3 hours, and I'm just captivated. That's just me. I don't know about anybody else, but that's just me. So I figured, because I want this to be beginner friendly, I wanted to show you exactly what I'm doing. Now there'll be times when I'll speed it up, time lapse it a little bit to save you the boredom of, say, an area of just dark value that you don't need to see me do. You'll see me do it. You just don't need to see me do it in real time. And I'm going to try to be compassionate on you so that you're not bored. And hopefully this music will be helpful as well. Now what I'm looking for are, however you say it, 3 main values. Your darker tones, then your mid-tones, then your light or highlighted areas. The key to building shape and dimension in an object is layering. So I start with a number 2 pencil, also called an HB pencil, and I begin looking for my different values in the form of shapes, patterns, and how these change as I move to different areas of the reference photo. Now I'm going in with a darker pencil. This one is a number 4B graphite pencil. If you only have a number 2 or HB pencil, that's okay. But having a variety of pencils will help you achieve your darker values more quickly. The best way to add those layers is to lay it down in small circular motions, using the side of the pencil and also using a light touch. Then of course I go over it with either a blending stump to blend it into the paper, or right there I'm using tissue. Now blending can get a little messy. It's sort of like coloring outside the lines, if you want to look at it that way. So I'm using a pencil eraser right here to just kind of clean it up. I'll also go in with what's called a kneaded eraser to clean up those smudges along the top right side of the apple. Y'all, my hands look so dry. Please don't judge me. I usually wear gloves. I usually slather my hands up with lotion and wear gloves. But I've run out of gloves, and I'm afraid I'll get lotion all over my drawing without the gloves. So I had to go lotion free. And don't judge me. You know, some people say that an artist shouldn't look at their reference photo often, but how else can you determine changes in values unless you're constantly studying the reference photo for different shifts in values? So we've spent quite a bit of time on that top portion of the apple. Now we're going to work on the lower 2/3 of it, which is going to be a quicker, smoother process. Just laying down my initial layer of number 2 pencil. Using circular motions and a light touch. Now I'm going in with what's called a kneaded eraser, and I love erasers. I'm picking up some of the pencil with the eraser, and it's creating highlights, like light is bouncing off the apple. Also, in the areas where there's going to be really light highlights, I get rid of the grid lines. In the other parts of the apple, they're just going to kind of blend in with a darker pigment, but with the highlights, if I think it's going to show through, I'll go ahead and erase that, and then add a little more just number 2 pencil over it to blend it out and get it back to where it needs to be. And now my absolute most favorite part, I'm going to push the dark values even farther by using a soft flat makeup brush dipped in charcoal powder. Now when you do this, when you use charcoal powder, you want to make sure that when you dip your brush in it, you tap off the excess charcoal that's on the brush onto a tissue or paper towel, and that will allow you to control the amount that you're laying down on your paper. I also use charcoal pencils to get my darkest values, and you'll see that in a minute. Here I'm just reinforcing the lines that I lost when I used tissue to blend out some of the edges. Shading with charcoal powder and brushes is just so much fun. And it's like you get a whole lot done in a short period of time that way. As I'm doing this part with the larger makeup brush, I use varying degrees of pressure, because the area isn't just a flat black bit of darkness. It kind of ebbs and flows. It's like it's dark in one spot, maybe an inch higher it's lighter, and so I try to represent that by using different amounts of pressure on the tip of the brush. Now here, I'm going to lay down a layer of number 2 pencil. I'm going to create a background. I usually like working with toned paper, and I think I say that on every video, but a toned background, whether it's dark or gray or whatever, because it causes the image to come forward as if there's something behind it. I didn't put a whole lot of effort into creating like the surface that the apple's sitting on, because I'm just wanting to demonstrate shading of the apple, so overlook that. But after I lay down the pencil, I use a tissue and blend it out, and then I noticed it wasn't as dark as I wanted it to be, so I added another layer of pencil and blended that out, which is what I'm doing here. So as I'm finishing up here, I am going to use a variety of erasers just to create some of the detail, other little highlights, little irregularities on the surface of the apple skin. And I didn't spend as much time with it as I could have. I'm just pretty much ready for this to be over with. But you'll have the reference photo if you want it, and you can take as much time with that as you like. there you have it. I really enjoyed doing this project. I hope you did too. Feel free to put in the comments what you'd like to see me demonstrate. I'd be glad to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on your way out. Hit that notification bell so that you'll know next time I upload. See you next time.